Welcome to this month's episode of Tea with Lisa. It's December, and so this month we are going to be talking about setting goals. So I know that's something a lot of us do when January rolls around. So I have a special guest today, all the way from Montana. We're going to be talking to Amy, and I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell you a little bit about what she does. She is the training coordinator for the Healthy Community Living Program. So Amy, welcome to Georgia by Zoom. And if you want to, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and the Living Well in the Community program?
Sure. Um, so my name is Amy, and I am in Missoula, Montana, and I work for the Rural Institute for Inclusive Communities, and part of that is the research and training, which the Healthy Community Living programs live under. And so I am the person, if anybody wants to facilitate our workshops, that you come through to get trained to facilitate. And I try to make the trainings fun and interactive, and going through the workshops just like you would like you would do the workshop in your cell. And so that is kind of what I do, and I do a lot of specifically for living well in the community.
And
Um,
I know, having taken your training before several years ago,
yes.
I know I can vouch. It is fun and very informative. So, and tell us your
Awesome.
last name, Amy, because I didn't want to butcher it. So you tell me.
My last name, if you're saying it in the French way, it's La Riviere. If
Okay.
you are just gonna try to say it, it's La Riviere.
Okay.
But I go by Lala, Amy Lala.
Okay. I was just saying we could be fancy and try the French thing, but I don't. So, well, thank you for being here, first of all. And so I guess our first question, my first question for you is going to be, how does the Living Well in the Community program empower people with disabilities to live more fulfilling lives?
So the Living Well in the Community is a goal setting workshop, which is exactly what we're talking about. So that it starts off. It's a 10-week workshop that each week is a different session. So you're learning things like goal setting. You're learning about building supports and getting those tools to help you be successful to achieving your goals. Healthy reactions. Staying on course, finding that information that you need. Healthy communication. We talk about that in a session. Also, eating well and physical activity and how that helps us reach those goals that we want. And then we talk about advocacy, both self advocacy and the group advocacy. And then we end it with maintenance. How do you continue to work towards those goals? And once you've achieved those goals, how do you maintain them? So we kind of go through all of those things in this specific workshop. Yeah.
Okay, so I've got a question. So when you the workshop starts off with goal setting, correct? Setting a goal.
Uh-huh.
So everyone in the workshop sets a goal. Is that how, and then it builds from there, correct?
Yes, yes. And it's great. And I also always suggest the facilitators, they also set a goal with the group, because it's just really incredible. You don't think as a facilitator you're going to get something out of a workshop, but you kind of are part of the workshop too, by
Yeah.
setting that goal. And I even do, if you remember, I do that in the trainings. I make you guys set a goal. Um,
Yeah.
and one of the great tools of this workshop is these worksheets that go with a lot of the sessions, and they are an excellent tool to help guide, especially when things get a little sticky or a little harder. They really help you guide you to figure out what support systems you have and what you need,
Mm.
amongst many other things. So
Okay. And I think a big part of it too is probably the peer support component. Is that correct?
very much the peer support. And I think too, Lisa, when I did the workshop once before I started training, I I didn't expect to get peer support as the facilitator, but you do, and it's really, it was such an incredible experience. And like I tell folks, I use Living Well every single day of my life in some component, whether I'm having a hard time with a goal, or I want to start something new, or I'm feeling like I'm stuck at something. It really helps. Those tools that I've learned, um, I use them all the time, especially the healthy reactions.
Those come in handy. And having facilitated the workshop several times myself, I can relate to what you're saying about the peer support and everything. I always set goals as well because I feel like I'm invested in the class along with everybody that's taken it. So,
Yeah.
and so I think the peer support has been really good. I've seen examples of through sharing and peer support, someone that was stuck maybe had uh, got a suggestion from a peer in the group that helped them kind of work through whatever their issue was at that time. So it's peer support is really, really big. So, well, can we discuss goal setting and its importance within the program?
Yes. So this is a goal setting workshop. So it starts with goal setting, setting that goal. And as you go through the workshop, including the facilitator, like that was the thing I was so surprised about and I was nervous about, because I set this like big lofty goal, because I was like, I'm the facilitator, I have to do the biggest goal. And then I was like, I cannot obtain this goal. This is not something that I can actually do. So I had to goal shift with the group in front of me and the support and the ideas I got from it. And I also learned, I am not a good big picture goal person, and I know a lot of folks aren't. I am really good at setting small goals, achieving them, and setting another small goal. And it just shows like I can do it. It improves my confidence greatly, and it really helps me stay motivated when I'm working towards stuff most.
Okay. And so, so small goals. I know some people in my classes in the past have set really big goals, and we've had others that have set small goals. Maybe something like, I want to reduce the amount of salt I eat, every day or whatever, something simple like that. And then we've had others that wanted to do something big like, I want to get my master's degree, you know. So we, so it's important. And it's like I say, it's a 10-week class. So some goals you might not meet in 10 weeks. It might take longer, but you want to see progress throughout the 10 weeks. So that's kind of what we're looking for in the class too, is not just necessarily achieving the goal, but making progress towards your goal.
Yes, and it's for some folks coming in with those big lofty goals like getting a master's degree. It's like,
Yeah,
okay, that's your big goal. Now let's break it down
yeah,
to some smaller goals. What's the first step you need to do? What's the
yeah.
next step? And like that really helps people be able to
Oh,
make steps forward for sure.
yeah,
You can take that big goal and break it down probably 4, 5, 6 smaller goals,
What is that?
and you won't feel so overwhelmed.
Right. And that I think too, a lot of these tools that are in this workshop, it helps you break it down, and again, so you can be successful. So it's something that you don't give up on, that you keep working towards.
Amy, since we're talking about breaking down large goals into small goals, can you give us some examples of how breaking those larger ones down into small ones can be beneficial?
Absolutely. I'm going to give you a personal example. I was struggling with drinking water for such a long time, and it was really hard. I would try like to like completely cut out everything else except water. It was just all this stuff. And so I actually had somebody that I was doing some training stuff with say, do you have a water bottle? And I said, no, I don't have a water bottle. She's like, there you go. That's your first goal. Take, you have a week to get a water bottle. And I said, oh, I could do that. Okay. So I went to TJ Maxx and I got this really cute sparkly pink one that also had like you're a rock star, keep
oh,
going, like that
motivational.
inspiration stuff. And so we got back and I was like, okay, I have my water bottle. She's like, okay, next step, drink half of it every day and see how long you can go with drinking it half a day. And I said, okay. And so I went for a whole week every single day. I drank half of it. She's like, okay, next, drink a full one every single day. and see how that works. And by the time I was doing that, by the time I was like, the week was over that I was drinking a full one, it was almost a habit. Like I was like, where's my water bottle? I need my water bottle. I have it. I've been drinking it, and then it just clicked. But it was just somebody telling me to break it down into those teeny little goals.
So, and that kind of goes along in the class where we talk about rewarding yourself. So, that's one of the sessions too, about how to reward yourself for small successes and large successes. And maybe you can talk to us a little bit about that.
Yes, yes. So that's the last session called maintenance. So it talks about, now that we've got this new habit, like how do we keep it? And also sometimes how, when we like take a couple steps backwards, how do we get back on track? And yeah, having those rewards sometimes. And for some folks, they work great. And for some folks, it's like, like try not to drink soda. So then, like, if I go to the movies, I get to have like the Coca-Cola in a glass bottle. That's a reward to trying not to drink it throughout the week. Some folks don't like those kind of rewards. They want like a monetary reward, like I get to buy a thing that I've been wanting, or I'm taking a trip, or so you can talk about like those small rewards, like a little silly Coca-Cola, to like a big reward, like I'm buying a car, or a vacation that I've been wanting to go on forever. One of my large goals that I have had and I will still have, and another fun thing to do is to make like a vision board kind of a thing. And so I have a vision board because I have always wanted to go to Jamaica. It's like been on my bucket list forever. And so I have that vision board in my office so I can always see it, knowing all these little goals that I'm working towards. Like that one day will get me to that big goal of getting to go to Jamaica.
Well, a vision board might be a good concept for some people to do. Something I know some people it would work for, some people maybe not. But is that something that is brought up in the classes, maybe as an example, or?
Yeah, it is something that I bring up during the training of an idea. Also, when you're doing this workshop and you're trying to get folks interested in it, there's an orientation session. And that's a great way to use the orientation session to get people's interest, so they know what this workshop is all about. And one of those things that somebody else gave me the idea was to do like a craft night or do like a vision board making. And while folks are working on their vision boards, you're talking about the workshop and what it is and all of those elements, and using that orientation to get folks interested and hopefully to sign up to do the workshop.
That actually, I like that idea, and that is something I had not thought of when we're in the recruiting phases for getting people to do the classes. That might be a fun way to kind of introduce the class and what it's about, and have them come in and kind of get that feel for it. So I do like that idea. So I will have to make a mental note of that.
Yeah. Yes, and let me know if you have any questions or you want some more ideas. I got a ton of them. So
I know one thing we talked about was obstacles. So I know that's another session in the class. If you want to talk to us about the different types of obstacles that you can experience when trying to achieve a goal, because everyone's going to have an obstacle at some point.
Yes, everybody has something, and it can be something that just like happens. Like I caught the ick going around last week, and that really was an obstacle of my goals last week. So in the workshop, they use terms as like the roadblock, which is like an absolute, you're done, you're frustrated, you quit, you're just and then there's a detour, which is saying, like, I'm not completely giving up, but I think I got to take a different path to my goal. And then a little speed bump, like having a cold for the week. Something little that just kind of gets in your way. And how to know what those kind of obstacles are, so you can problem solve and figure out. Like I always like to be able to take like that big roadblock, or something really huge happening, like, you are getting your hours cut at work. And so, like, financially, something is really going to be changing, and that's a big problem. And so, having to take something like that and turn it into a detour or a speed bump. And then you are looking at maybe shifting that goal that you started, that it was one thing, and now you got to shift that goal to something different to help you get over something big like that, like a roadblock.
It's okay to change goals. That's okay.
And I like this workshop. It talks about the tough stuff. It talks about when you run into a roadblock or something. And I really like, especially like the healthy reactions. It talks about how you change your mindset from like the glass is half empty all the time to, well, maybe it's half full this time. And that is, I think, one of the biggest things that I've taken from this workshop is not the gloom and doom all of a sudden. It's like, okay, be able to take a pause and be like, okay, it's not as awful as I think it is, and to be able to move on.
So, Amy, what resources or support systems do you believe are essential for helping individuals with disabilities achieve their goals?
I think it really depends on your community. So knowing those community resources besides your SIL, is there, do you have a connection with your local library? Is there some sort of accessible gym in your community that folks can use? Is there, the food bank, knowing where those are located? We begin to talk at the very beginning about the workshop using the House of Living Well. And there's all the different rooms, but that foundation, housing, food, shelter, security, safety, like, are those things met? And if not, where are those resources in your community? So really knowing what else is out there besides all of the great things that you have at your SIL, I think are really important.
So you mentioned a SIL. So for my viewers that don't know what that is, that's a Center for Independent Living, which is what Walton Options is. And also one of our core services is information and referral. So we partner with a lot of community organizations and agencies. So we're able to refer people to agencies that address their specific needs if it's something we can't do here. So that is a good place. The Center for Independent Living is a good place to get resources, like you mentioned. So, okay, so next question. Are you ready? Are you ready? How does the Living Well in the Community program empower people with disabilities to live a more fulfilling life?
So I think that it, gives them tools throughout that workshop to help them, like I mentioned before, build confidence, which is like one of those things I feel, we sometimes lack that. Like, we'll be able to cheer everybody else on, but for ourselves, it's so harder to cheer ourselves on. And this workshop really helps give some of those tools to, stop listening to I think like the good Amy and bad Amy on my shoulders. Like, stop listening to that bad Amy and only listen to the positive and the person that is supporting myself. So I think that's one of the biggest tools I think that I've learned from this workshop is how to help my confidence. And the more confident I am, the more I am to work on my goals and to achieve them.
Well, Amy, was there anything else you would like to tell us about the Living Well in the Community classes, or?
The last thing I wanted to share is, yes, there's definitely centers for independent living and other places that are doing these workshops, but all this material, all of the content for the workshop is online and is free for anybody to take a gander at. I maybe you'd be able to share the link in something with the group.
Yeah, we can put the link up on here for anyone that's interested, and they can check it out. Or they can always call us here at Walton Options, and we'll be more than happy to talk to them about it, explain the program a little bit. And that reminds me, we are partnering with the Rural Institute on a research project with Living Well in the Community. So there's going to be more information coming up on that. So if you have any questions, you can give us a call here at 706-724-6262. Or you can always follow our social media stuff. We're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and I think that covers pretty much everybody. You can always check there, or on our website at our calendar of events. There's always information there what's going on at Walton Options. But I do want to thank you, Amy, for being here with us today, all the way from Montana. Welcome to Georgia. And thank you so much for being our special guest today. And I want to wish everyone out there that's watching Tea with Lisa happy holidays. And we'll see you back in the new year. And thank you so much, Amy, for being with us. You have a good holiday too, Amy. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.